In your headlines, the special needs school in the TCI has been forced to close its doors. And two high-level executives from American Airlines were in TCI last week to meet with multi-sector stakeholders. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providenciales, your number one source for news, I'm Erica Pinales, delivering the latest from across the country this Thursday, June 7th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. Today is a sad day in the Turks and Caicos Islands as Newswatch has witnessed and captured the closing of Ashley's Learning Center, the only special needs school in country. Take a look. Angela Williams, founder of the center, on the verge of tears, shared today that the center, which once gave many parents hope and eased the burden of having a child with a disability, is now closing its doors due to lack of funding from the government.
Last year, the government had included Ashley's Learning Center in the supplementary budget. We're providing $150,000 to help bridge the gap, to help us fill in some of the financial needs that we had for a short-term basis. Unfortunately, at the end, $70,000 was placed in a proposal to be signed. Unfortunately, we did not receive any of the funds, simply because after the back and forthness, some of what was asked was not in the best interest of the children.
Angela's efforts to keep the school open still weren't enough. As Newswatch learned, the fundraising events and even Angela's personal cry to government still weren't successful in saving the school, as it was denied crucial funding at the highest level of government.
I'm hoping that when people hear of Ashley's Learning Center, they don't see me, They see a little boy that's blind and never had the opportunity to see. Children who 7 and 8 and haven't said the first word yet. Children who need so much, who physically impaired, who can't walk, can't talk, can't see, can't maneuver themselves through the basic daily routine that we all take for granted. That they see some of the children who are so brilliant and gifted that at age 7, they know every timetable, and not just to 12. They know the 13, 14, 15, 16 timetable, all the way in multiplying in the thousands. So when you hear of Ashley's Learning Center, don't see me. See our children that are in need.
As Angela sat in the 100 by 40 feet building, which is owned by her family and has been dedicated to the center for the past 7 years, she said the words, "People think that I want government money," with almost a crack in her voice.
My family and I have dedicated this to the school for the last 7 years at no cost. I've given up my job so that I can engage the doctors on a level that represent every Turks and Caicos Islander. And I've done that well. I'm sure that we as Turks and Caicos, we are capable with respect, with dignity, with pride, how we address and with passion, I've done that when I'm engaging those doctors. They're very detailed. Ashley's Learning Center is a very detailed school because most of the students here, they're very organized, they're very detailed, they're very precise. We cannot show up one day being off because that is not their personality. They're very routine.
Ashley's Learning Center, as many can attest, has been host to the most dynamic group of individuals over the past 7 years. Anything you can think of, from Grammy-winning artists to students and professionals of the most respected and top-rated schools in the world, all in hopes of growing the center and aiding it in reaching its full potential. And get this, all this has been done with no outside assistance whatsoever.
I am sorry. I'm sorry that I'm informing parents in this manner. I'm sorry that I'm informing the community in this manner. But I felt like my back was against the wall. And one other thing I'll mention from the report that the doctor said, Harvard University, they mentioned, and more so on my side, they said that Ashley's only sent after 7 years has reached a place that we're ready and prepared for major growth. Growth in terms of providing the full-time services to children in the country. And also please, I hope persons don't take this out of context. They almost fired me in saying that, the school needs a full-time principal and that I can sit on the management board as the president and founder of the school, because they felt that I was doing a little of too much and that being overwhelming and I'll get burned out.
Many personal attacks, threats, and opinions have been thrown on Angela, deeming her unfit as principal of the center over the years, even though she has evidently dedicated and sacrificed much for it, which speaks to her passion for the 17 children which the center was home to and special needs education.
I felt like I've ended up in a war of the worst kind. And that's a war when you fight amongst yourself. Yeah. So many people, of my own here in Turks and Caicos, fought against me just because I'm simply trying to provide for children in need. And when we fight amongst ourselves, that's a war you can't win. Nobody wins. I've been approached 3 different governments or administration for financial support, even with parents. Nothing, we're still at the same position. I've done my best. I've done my best to keep the school going. And I've never mentioned, not even to parents, what I have done personally, because I felt that I didn't want to show any sign of weakness. I didn't want to show that I wasn't stable in what I did.
As Angela said, quote, "The need for intervention is alarming," end quote. Without further help from the community or authorities, special needs school in the Turks and Caicos Islands will have to shut its doors to these children. Stay tuned as this story develops in your subsequent newscast. 2 high-level executives from American Airlines were in TCI last week to meet with multi-stakeholders to discuss airlift, routes, and potential marketing opportunities with the airline. Take a look.
2 high-level executives from American Airlines were in country last week to meet with multi-sector stakeholders. Rafael Despredo, National Account Manager Leisure and Specialty Channels, and Taylor Lynn, National Account Manager Global Sales, met with the Ministry of Tourism, other representatives from the Ministry, the Tourist Board, and other tourism partners to discuss airlift, routes, and potential marketing opportunities with the airline. The meeting, held at Waimara Resorts and Villas in Providenciales, also saw in attendance representation from the Turks and Caicos Islands Hotel and Tourism Association, the TCI Airport Authority, and representatives from American Airlines here in the TCI. Commenting on the meeting, the Honorable Josephine Connolly, Minister of Tourism, notes that it was imperative for her government to meet with its number 1 carrier. Quote, "A meeting such as this, with multi-sector stakeholders in attendance, is important, as we all must do our part in not only attracting but ensuring our guests have a 5-star entry into our world-class luxury destination." End quote. Over the past few years, American travelers have been spending more on vacations and getaways in the TCI, including business class and premium seats, booking higher categories of accommodations, excursions, staying longer in the destination, and dining out. Connolly says not only will this have a positive impact on the average length of stay, but will also have a positive impact on visitor spend in the TCI. American Airlines has been serving TCI for almost 30 years, and as the leading airline partner with direct flights from 7 United States cities to Providenciales, Government says it looks forward to more routes and connecting travelers to the island's shores. The tourism minister states that to do so, teamwork and a true partnership is what they will continue to strive towards to ensure that TCI remains the number one destination in the Caribbean, if not the world. The meeting comes amid updates from the government, contained within its post-cabinet statement, that they have approved the waiver of import custom duties and custom processing fees for the airlines for the replacement parts for an aircraft that had an emergency landing on Providenciales. This waiver has since been forwarded to the House of Assembly for consideration and possible approval. For PTV News Watch, I'm Delana Alice.
It's time for a quick break. More News Watch when we return.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to News Watch. The Environmental Health Department, as part of its ongoing food safety awareness campaign, is providing safety tips to help consumers get a better understanding of food labeling dates. Here's the details. The Environmental Health Department, as part of its ongoing food safety awareness campaign, is providing safety tips to help consumers get a better understanding of food labeling dates, which gives a guide to how long food can be kept before it begins to deteriorate or may become unsafe to eat. Firstly, all packaged food should be clearly labeled with the appropriate durability indication. Best by, use by, sell by, and expires on are just some of the terms found on food packaging. The department would like to inform customers of what food date labels actually mean so that they can make safe choices and optimize the use and storage of their food. According to the department, best by, best before, best if used before, or best if used by relate to food quality, indicating when the product will have its best flavor or texture. Surpassing this date, food may still be safe to consume, but the quality would not be good. An example is bread. Past the date, it may be okay to eat, but may be dry and leathery. Used before or used by and expired on, these dates relate to safety. These are manufacturer recommended dates that tell consumers when the product should no longer be consumed. Food can be eaten or frozen then stored before or on these dates, but not after. These dates are usually found on perishable food such as meats, dairy, and ready-to-eat meals, which can be very unsafe to consume when past its date. Freeze by. This is the date you should freeze a product for it to maintain its top quality and should not be thawed unless it is to be used. Thawing then refreezing a product changes its integrity and compromises its safety. Sell by. This label is directed toward the retailer to ensure proper turnover of inventory. This is the last date that the product should be displayed in the store. The most important labels to understand and look for are the best before and use by dates. So, here's some public advice for you. Always check the dates on your food items before purchase and consumption. Do not purchase or consume food with signs of spoilage, for instance, foul odor or discoloration. Always store food based on manufacturer's directions and do not purchase or consume poorly stored food goods. Always inspect food packaging for damage or possible contamination before purchase and consumption. The department is urging consumers to report any suspicious or outdated labeled food products that may be seen on display, or if they have any general inquiries regarding food safety, to please contact the EHD at 338-2142. That's 338-2142. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has resigned. The news hit mainstream earlier this week that PM Johnson agreed to step down after an ethics scandal. We have more.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson has resigned as Conservative leader and is set to step down as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom when a new PM has been appointed.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. And I've agreed with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of our backbench MPs, that the process of choosing that new leader should begin now. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world.
The resignation was made official in a speech by PM Johnson on Thursday, July 7th, following over 60 other resignations of members of Johnson's government and party, citing lack of confidence in their PM. In his speech, the outgoing prime minister shared that he fought to secure his position in order to continue the work set out in his party's mandate following their successful last 3 years in office.
The reason I have fought so hard in the last few days to continue to deliver that mandate in person was not just because I wanted to do so, but because I felt it was my job, my duty, my obligation to you to continue to do what we promised in 2019. And of course, I'm immensely proud of the achievements of this government, from getting Brexit done to settling our relations with the continent for over half a century, reclaiming the power for this country to make its own laws in Parliament, getting us all through the pandemic, delivering the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe, the fastest exit from lockdown, and in the last few months, leading the West in standing up to Putin's aggression in Ukraine.
He says he argued unsuccessfully in encouraging his party to see their plans for the nation through to succession.
I regret not to have been successful in those arguments, and of course it's painful not to be able to see through so many ideas and projects myself. But as we've seen at Westminster, the herd instinct is powerful. When the herd moves, it moves. And my friends, in politics, no one is remotely indispensable.
Johnson's resignation prompts a leadership contest for the title of the next Conservative leader and Prime Minister. He pledges to widely support his successor. Johnson served as Prime Minister since 2019.
Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back. Coming up next is your weather forecast.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future!
I am PTV.
I am PTV.
I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Here's the latest in your weather forecast.
For the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Friday, partly cloudy skies, high 85, low 80, winds east at 15 to 25 miles per hour. South Caicos, partly cloudy skies, high 85, low 79, winds east at 20 to 30 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos, sunshine and mixed clouds, high 85, low 80, winds east at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key, partly cloudy skies, high 85, low 80, winds east at 15 to 25 miles per hour. And on Providenciales, partly cloudy skies, high 85, low 80, winds east at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Here's your sunrise and sunset. Sunrise, 6:13 a.m., sunset, 7:37 p.m. Now for your high tides and low tide. High tide at 2:43 a.m., low tide 8:52 a.m. High tide 3:25 p.m., low tide 9:50 p.m. And for your hurricane outlook, for the North Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico, tropical cyclone formation is not expected during the next 5 days. And that's it for your weather forecast and hurricane outlook.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Pinales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated. Until next time.